Hi guys, and welcome back to Camera Cravings. Today I'm excited to be unboxing and giving you my first thoughts on the new Tamron wide-angle lens for Sony E-mount, the 17-28mm 2.8. Coming right up. So this is the Tamron 17-28mm f2.8 III RXD for Sony mirrorless E-mount. In the box, on the box we have says register for a 5-year warranty, so that's good. Showing Tamron's build quality there, that they're confident giving a 5-year warranty. In the box we find some papers, and there's also a warranty card I think in there. Try not to smash up the lens. So we have got a rather uninspiring, it's not really, can't really call it a case. So there's no lens pouch. It's just this white little kind of bag, which is okay, but not great. But I suppose you're not paying top dollar for this lens. But it is still $900, or I think I paid £899 for it. So here we have the lens, and as you can see, you've got a nice lens hood, which looks decent. Lens feels pretty good in the hand. A little bit plasticky, but not unexpected really, given the price point. And when you zoom, as you can see, the lens goes in and out, but it doesn't protrude from the front of the lens, so the element doesn't come out like the Sony 16-35, for example. On the lens you've got the zoom ring, which is 17-28, and that feels quite smooth. One thing that the Sony lenses are very good at is a smooth zoom ring and focusing rings, and it'll be interesting to see how the Tamron compares. And the focus ring feels okay as well. It's quite thin actually, that's the only thing. It's quite a narrow, thin focus ring. But yeah, be interesting to test this out and see what images and video quality it can produce. Just to give a quick size comparison, here I've got the Tamron in the middle, the Sony Zeiss 55mm 1.8 to the right hand side, and the Sony G 70-200 f4 to the left. So as you can see, compared to the 55mm, it's fairly compact lens, because the 55 is a very compact small lens, and obviously that's prime. But yeah, it's actually quite a small lens given it's 17-28. Usually wide angle lenses are quite big and heavy if they're zoom lenses. Okay, so this is a quick autofocus test. I've got a small toy on the table here, and then I'm just tilting the camera up to the back of the room, which is about a 9-meter distance. And as you can see, the lens does a really good job of getting the toy back in focus very quickly. It's pretty snappy and responsive, and a really smooth transition as well. I'm really impressed with the video autofocus on this lens. This is one of my cats, and cats are quite good subjects for testing this because they move really sporadically, and as you can see again, the lens is doing pretty well to keep up with his movements. And the same here as I move in towards my cat. My other one, this is Tiger. It stays in focus really well. This is another test, a little bit more scientific. This is just me moving in towards the camera. This is at 17mm. As you can see, as I pop in and out of frame, it transitions well to my face and my body. And as I get really close to the lens like this, it's doing a pretty good job. So this is at 28mm now. And it's a really difficult lighting scenario for the lens here, because I'd actually put the camera and the lens in a dark area, and it's obviously heavily backlit. And even with the poor lighting conditions, I think the lens does quite a good job actually. It's obviously struggling because of the lack of light, but it does pick me up and it does lock onto me. This is in better lighting conditions. As you can see, it's slightly slow to lock onto me there as I move towards it. But I think it's doing a really good job overall. And I'm quite pleasantly surprised by the quality of the autofocusing. This is from continuous autofocus on my A7R2. Obviously, some of the newer Sony cameras, it would probably be even better on. Now moving on, this is autofocus test for stills, so it's the same test I did for the focusing earlier with video. And this is in expanded spot mode. And I'd say it's probably not quite as consistent and quite as good for stills, but it is really good. I think I'd say, having used the Sony G Master 16-35, it's probably a little bit slower, but given it's not a Sony native lens, it's almost on a par with a native lens, I'd say. As you can see, it's pretty good at pulling the focus back to that toy. I tried it in a few different modes, so that was, this is now center lock on. I found it was slightly slower to lock on. I don't know, there was a little bit of focus breathing when it was in center mode for some reason. Don't know if that's just the center mode on my camera. Again, the wide mode does a really good job. Obviously, it's starting to lock onto different things in the back of shot there. I've tried zone, which again, it does a very good job. I basically found pretty consistent performance between all of the focus modes on my camera. This was at f3.5, as you can see. And yeah, it's doing an excellent job overall. And I'd say for the money, you're getting a really, really good focusing lens. I would be interested to try this lens on either the A9 with the updated autofocusing system, or the A6400, which actually I'm getting one this week to try out. So I'll try that and perhaps include it in a future video when I do a kind of longer term review of the lens. But yeah, as you can see, it's going to give you good enough focusing to allow you to use it for every scenario that you can throw at it. So moving on to stills, I haven't had a chance to take many stills with this camera, but I have just done a few test shots of my cats and outside of the car, and also I took a couple of shots in my kitchen. So I'm just going to go through them. First of all, I just took a quick sort of product type shot of the Rode Wireless Go. This is shot at 2.8, and as you can see, it's got a really nice fall off on the flooring, and it's there's really sharp details on the actual subject, even down to the dust that's on the Rode mic there. Similarly, I took a shot here of my cooker just for a kind of sharpness test, really, in terms of the quality of the image coming out of it. These are raw files that I've just done very light editing to, but as you can see, if I zoom into 3:1, it's still, the numbers there look really good. And at 2:1 or 1:1, you're getting a lot of detail out of this lens. This again is shot at 2.8, so you've got a nice fall off away from the focus point. And yeah, I'm quite impressed with the quality of this so far. I took this outside and took a few shots out into the sunshine. So this was shot at f14 at 18mm, and I wanted to try and get the sunburst to see what that looked like and whether there was much in the way of flaring. And as you can see, it does a pretty good job of this as well. I quite like the sunburst, and yeah, the flaring is fairly minimal. If I pull up the exposure, you can start to see a bit more, but it's really well controlled actually, and I think it's as good, if not better, than the Sony equivalent lenses and probably my Zeiss 18mm. Similarly, I took a shot here of the front of the car, and as you can see, again, the flaring is well controlled generally, and actually there's not too much in the way of chromatic aberration. There is some, but nothing that wouldn't be resolvable with a few simple clicks in Lightroom. So yeah, initial thoughts on the quality of this lens are good. The other thing you can see in this shot is the bokeh. It's not as round and not as perfect as what you would get from a Sony G Master lens, but you're paying over $2,000 or pounds for that lens compared to this, which is about 900. So if you want the perfect round balls, then maybe that's something that you need to consider. But I think this looks good enough for this type of wide-angle lens. I mean, that kind of doesn't bother me so much. If it's a portrait lens, then I'm more interested in that kind of thing. But I think the fall off in the out of focus parts of these images is really nice actually. And yeah, overall for stills, I think this would be an excellent lens. My only hang-ups would probably be the fact that it's only 17mm, not 16. Obviously there's pros and cons to that. It makes the lens lighter and smaller, but it does mean you're losing a little bit at the wide end, and obviously it goes to 28 rather than 35, which again is quite a big loss in terms of reach. But it's a trade-off between the kind of usability, quality and value you're getting from this lens. So yeah, I think if you bought this and the 28 to 75 that Tamron also do, I think overall you'd be paying about £1,800 or $1,800. And the Sony 16 to 35 G Master on its own is like over 2,000. So I think you're getting a really good package here for the money. I'm looking forward to testing this on a professional shoot and seeing what kind of quality images I get from it. But yeah, on my Sony A7R II, it's doing a really good job. So my initial first thoughts on the Tamron 17-28 are that this is a fantastic lens for anyone looking to get a good value wide angle zoom lens for Sony mirrorless system, both for stills or video. Actually, the video autofocus is really snappy, really fast. I'd say it's slightly faster at the wide end, which is understandable, but yeah, even at 2.8 it snaps onto you really quickly, and obviously for stills as well it's equally good. Actually, so far from just initial testing, it's really good. I'm going to try this for an event that I'm doing in London, some event photography on Thursday evening this week, so that's actually tomorrow evening. So yeah, I'll see how that goes. I'll include that. I'm going to do a more detailed review of this lens once I've used it a bit more for a couple more weeks. But so far I think I'm actually going to probably keep this lens and replace my Zeiss Batis 18mm, so this one, because I like having that zoom range. The fact it's a 2.8 is a bonus, and yeah, it's nice and lightweight. It's actually just really good. The only downside really for me is the fact that you don't have a AF MF focus switch on the actual lens barrel, but again, that's a minor point. In terms of the speed and quality of the focusing, I'm using my A7R II, so it's not the best focusing camera compared to some of the newer Sony bodies like the A9, the A6400, 6600, A7R3 and 4. But even with that, it's doing a really good job, I thought, and it'd be interesting to see what you think in the comments about the quick tests I did with it. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and it's given you some initial information about the lens and whether it's any good or not. I'm planning to use it a lot more over the coming weeks. I'm going to use it for stills this week, and in a couple of weeks I'm doing a big conference at XL in London, so I'll be using it on a gimbal for video work there, and I'm going to do a detailed review of the lens after I've done that job. So if you are new to the channel, please do like and subscribe, click the bell for notifications so you see my videos. I am a new channel, so everyone who watches this or likes or subscribes to the channel, it's a massive benefit to me to help me grow. And also, if you want to see anything in particular, have any questions, do put them in the comments. I'm going to try and read all the comments that I get on any of my videos. This is only my second video, so yeah, do bear with me. I'm going to be bringing lots more content in the coming weeks, lots of equipment reviews, and also lots of tutorials on Lightroom, Photoshop, Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects. So if any of that sounds good to you, yeah, click on the subscribe. I've got one down in the corner, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next one.